Hey, what's up, Internet? Michael Aubrecht here, drummer for Question Everything, Drumhead Magazine writer, modern drummer author, author of Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids with Rich Redmond. And, most exciting, new endorsee artist for Booty Shakers by TNR Products. And I just want to take a couple minutes today to talk to you about Booty Shakers. Booty Shakers is one of those things, it's one of those brilliant ideas, and it's so simple, you wish you would have thought of it. Basically, the premise is this. One of the biggest problems with drums, whether you're performing in a studio or in a live situation, is maintaining the tone and the resonance of drums. Inherently, drums are mounted on racks, they're mounted in stands, they have legs, and the natural tendency is for a lot of the vibration that comes out of those drums to be basically absorbed by the stand or by the legs and into the floor. And basically when that happens, you lose the fundamental bottom end of the tone of your drums. So, what do you do to solve this situation? Well, the guys at TNR came up with this absolutely brilliant idea. You create a buffer, an insulator between the drum and the stand or the drum and the floor. And the way that you do that is you use their products, Booty Shakers and Little Booty Shakers. Booty Shakers, of course, is geared more towards the floor tom, which the floor tom is really a perfect example of the evolution of tone. When the floor tom was first invented, it had a straight up and down leg. And those legs literally acted like lightning rods, where they would absorb the vibrations of the drum and feed it right down into the floor. So if you listen to a lot of the old jazz cats out there, they didn't have a lot of sustain and bottom end in their toms, in that tone. Well, what Booty Shakers does is it creates these little foam footies that you slide your floor tom feet into. Of course, nowadays, floor tom legs being curved to sort of also help curb that idea of the sound being sustained and absorbed into the ground. And what this creates is an insulation between the foot and the floor. And what that does is that allows you to preserve that wonderful fundamental bottom tone, the bottom end of that tom, because it is allowed to breathe. It's allowed to resonate. It's allowed to live its full life, so to speak. Also, Little Booty Shakers. Little Booty Shakers are geared more towards stands. These can be used on snare stands, whether you're putting a snare drum in it or a rack tom, and it acts exactly the same way. You slip these on over top of the little contacts in the basket that the drum sits on, and what this does is creates the same kind of effect, an insulation layer between the drum and the stand, and that allows you to get the full tone, and it allows it to ring out. So you're basically preserving the natural tone of the drum, and you're preventing its surroundings from choking that off. And this is great, not just in a studio environment, but also especially in a live environment. If you're a guy out there that's playing with a band, you're touring around, you're using backline kits that aren't necessarily the best sounding kits in the world. If you got a couple of these in your bag, you shove them on the drums, and I guarantee you're going to bring out as much natural tone and enhance that kit as much as you possibly can. If you have your own drums and you're bringing them around to different venues, you're setting up that drum set on different floors. Wood floors, concrete floors, metal floors, tile floors. Those all have a direct impact on the resonance of your drum set. So what do you do to maintain a consistent tone? You use Booty Shakers, you put them on your drums, and you've literally created that insulated layer. The drums are floating, for lack of a better term, away from that, right? Away from that contact, and they're allowed to sound as natural as possible. So, go to tnrproducts.com. Check this out. A lot of big name players are using these. Daniel Glass, Rich Redmond, a lot of my friends, and they swear by them because it enables them to maintain a consistent tone no matter what kind of session they're playing in. I'm using them right now in my rehearsal space. I'm using them when I'm recording tracks, and I am absolutely going to be using these whenever we go out to do the Monkeys for Technology film shoot, and also any types of performances we're doing with Question Everything. So, that's all I got for you guys today. Remember, Booty Shakers, they're so easy, even a drum tech could figure them out.